We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on where you are joining from. My name is Asif, and I welcome all of you to this webinar organized by Envoy Global in collaboration with Saudi Pathway. This webinar is going to be all about Saudi Arabia's Regional Headquarters Program, also known as Regional Headquarters. In this webinar, our experts will share their insights about what this program is all about. They'll also talk about what are the key requirements that companies need to understand if they're looking to set up a regional headquarters in Saudi Arabia. They'll also talk about what are the unique benefits that this program offers in terms of market entry in Saudi Arabia. Our experts will also walk us through some of workforce compliance and hiring talent in Saudi Arabia aspect. This webinar is going to be highly useful for companies that are interested to establish their presence in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be highly useful for mobility and HR professionals as well, who are involved in supporting teams, hiring talent, relocating talent to Saudi Arabia. I am excited to introduce our speakers today. I am joined by Batal Al Ghurairi. He is the CEO of Saudi Pathway. Batal delivers excellence when it comes to providing interactive training to companies to ensure their performance growth, their retention of talent, and sustainable growth in Saudi Arabia. I'm also joined by Anita Chalke. She is the Senior Immigration Manager at Envoy Global in Saudi Arabia. Anita has over 2 decades of experience in supporting companies in their expansion in Saudi Arabia. She also understands the complex immigration landscape of Saudi Arabia very, very deeply. Lastly, I'm joined by Lamia Muhammad Al Nasir. She is the Government Relations Officer at Envoy Global in Saudi Arabia. Uh, Lamia Muhammad Al Nasir connects organization with key government bodies in Saudi Arabia. She also has deep expertise about HR and workforce compliance in Saudi Arabia. This webinar was possible by Saudi Pathway and Envoy Global, so I would like to share a bit about both companies. Saudi Pathway is a company that's located in NEOM, one of the most ambitious projects of Saudi Arabia. With a headcount of 100% Saudi nationals, they understand the Saudi business landscape very deeply. They support they support and are a true partner for companies expanding and establishing their presence in Saudi Arabia. Envoy Global is the leading corporate immigration services provider committed to delivering a better way for companies to manage their global immigration. With a smart and friendly technology and their operations in more than 180 countries, Envoy Global ensures that organizations are fully supported in hiring, relocating, and managing their global workforce. Before I hand it down to our speakers, I would like to share with everyone that if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in our chat box, and I will ensure that all the questions are passed down to the relevant speakers, and we will share and discuss about all the questions in our Q&A session. Now, I would like to pass it on to our speakers today to share what makes Saudi Arabia such an insightful and exciting market at the moment. On to you, Anita and Padal.
Right. Thank you. Just wanted to check if I'm audible.
You
Right?
are.
Fantastic. Hello and welcome. I'm Anita, and I'm so excited to kick off this session with my colleague Lamia, who is based out of our Envoy Global Riyadh office with me, and Batal, who is our strategic vendor partner to support in Neom City in the region called Tabuk. Well, when we say a gateway to $1 trillion, there's a reason for that. The key driving force for this growth in the country is government's Vision 2030 that plans to diversify their economy away from oil and make sure they put a lot of efforts in diversifying sectors such as tourism, technology, healthcare, and construction, of course, and many more. It is also a center hub to Europe, Asia, and it is a suitable geographic location. Its market reach is much wider that covers Middle East, Africa, South Asia, and Europe, with world-class logistics such as advanced ports, modern airports, etc. There are vast opportunities which is leading to trillion-dollar market and much more. I would like to have a few words from Batal as well to take his opinion.
Thank you, Anita. Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us for this webinar. Yes, it is a trillion-dollar market now. Saudi Arabia is the new best thing. We have so many giga projects. We have the city of the future, NEOM. We have so many things that will bring us a step ahead in the Middle East. And I don't know if you know this, but when you mentioned Central Hub, you know, if you fly to NEOM or Tibuk or Saudi Arabia, especially in NEOM, it will never exceed the flight duration of 6 to 7 hours. So we're almost, you can say, the center of everything.
I can imagine. I think so. It's becoming a rapidly become a choice of foreign investors because of its bold reform and strategic advantages, investor-friendly policies. So yeah, well, rightly said, it's a trillion-dollar market. Moving on to next slide. Sorry, the screen is a little bit freezed. Well, yes, now we can say it's a pro-business policies and competitive edge. Um, Following are the four main strategies which any business look up to when they are moving to new market. So, business-friendly reform, such as 100% ownership of the business in the most sector, has been a milestone in the development of the country. So, unlike a few years back, when you have to have Saudi National as a shareholder, even if they are not participating in the operations. That has changed, and there are regulations such as anti-concealment law that prevents or combat commercial concealment. So that's one thing where the reforms and regulations are closely monitored, it's well defined. Second, every country or every business look for attractive tax incentives for qualified entities such as those registered under special economic zone or RHQ gets the special tax concessions. Thereafter, the simple business setup. It ranks high in digital competitiveness that supports the entity incorporations process and ease of doing business in the region. Well, to support this, Ministry of Foreign Investment, which is commonly called as MISA, is facilitating access to these opportunities by developing an ecosystem to ensure the investors has an easy journey when they are navigating the local market. And it's a, like when it comes to skills and talent, I feel like from my personal experience as well, there is a large pool of bilingual professionals. So young Saudis, both genders, contributing to the economy. They're fluent in Arabic and English. In addition to that, the support that the government is offering to make sure the locals is given a providing incentives, the educations and the training to make sure the market is built, the skills is reached to the demand that is created. Also, you will find huge population of foreign nationals that are working in harmony, nurturing and supporting the young talents and new businesses. And I'm sure that Batal must have something to share from his experience.
But as I said, we're building the city of the future. So we need all the expertise we can have. They're attracting foreign companies with expertise in different areas to build new cities, to build giga projects. Well, there's so many things going on, and there's so many opportunities for so many people. So if you have the chance, come and take a look. You will find your chance here.
Absolutely. I think we can cover a lot in the following slide as well. We'll talk about mega project that you just mentioned. Yep. So the reason of high growth economy with vision? Well, government's massive investments in modern infrastructures and the mega projects, which Batal was just mentioning, like NEOM, Red Sea Project, Kadia, Roshan, a few of the names. But if I categorize this precisely, Roshan is building, like they are backed by PIF. The full form of PIF is Public Investment Fund, and their job is to build a city in Riyadh, like from scratch, everything modernized. And I think I, living in Riyadh, have witnessed the construction that is going on, that's happening in Riyadh. And Neom is little away from the capital city of Riyadh. It's in a different region altogether, Tabuk. And I think I've heard about Oxygen Project and
Yeah.
Trojena, and so many things are going on. It's just like a like a dream. It's a big thing. Like you can imagine, like building the snow in mid of desert. It sounds almost unrealistic, but there are works, there are projects, there are strategies that are going on, and it seems real. When a new company is entering the market, the correct type of entity structure with knowledge of additional regulation that is required and approval is must know. For example, if you're bringing a technology in the kingdom, such as SaaS platform, you may need to have Saudi data and AI authorities approval. Likewise, there are other regulatory bodies to make sure the governance and the delivery is up to the mark of the international standards. It is a big topic to cover in itself. So today we are going to focus on regional headquarter program. So talking about regional headquarter, it was launched early 2021, and it is designed to make the kingdom the go-to base for big multinational companies. And RHQ status often come with the stronger ties with the government entities and the uh, priority cases to the public sector opportunities. So these are the projects that we just mentioned. It's highly possible that your talent and your entity may need regional headquarter. And Batal, what is your take before I deep dive into RHQ program? It's the bare minimum information that any company is considering will need to be aware of.
Well, as you said, and you did mention it before, the economic diversification, the economy is very strong here.
Yeah.
And there's a very strong will of building the city of the future. We have so many projects, not limited to those that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of projects, and I see in Oxagon with my own eyes. I've seen the snow on Trojena. I've seen so many things in Neom and outside of Neom. You have the Eastern region, Mid region, and Central region, I mean, and the North region with Tabuk and
Mm-hmm.
Neom. There's so many projects, so many things to be done over there, and so many expertise to be exposed to these projects.
Yeah, definitely. From the region wise, I can second that. That is, it is the biggest in the GCC, among the GCC countries, in terms of population as well as in terms of. Uh, sorry, I just got the message. In terms of population and as well as in terms of the size of the country. Well, there's one more thing that I would like to add is about unified e-procurement platform, which is called as Etemad. So Etemad is the platform where you apply for such big government project and you participate as a bidder. All new, it allows companies basically to participate in the government bids, contracts, and it's a proper management system when it comes to running an RFP. When registering in this platform, it is almost every RFP is required you to submit your RHQ certificate. So that is a minimum one of the requirements or to participate in such bid as well. Moving on to the slide. Yep. So let's understand a bit more about RHQ program. In one sentence, it allows multinational companies to establish a regional headquarter in the region, and its purpose is strictly strategic direction management, support to its subsidiaries, branches, and affiliates in the region, and the business interest in participating who are participating in big juicy government tenders must have RHQ. The RHQ that you can set in a two form, either in a form of limited liability company or in a form of a branch. There are 5 points any company who is considering to have its RHQ to do the self-assessment and see if they meet the requirement. Number one, you should have presence in 2 countries, that is excluding your parent company location and your Saudi locations. So you must have some operations in MENA region, for example, in Dubai, Qatar, Egypt, and so on. So that's one. Second, all entities should have same shareholders and trade name. So make sure your bylaws and government legal documents that you're going to submit for RHQ are all in order. The third point you can think of is the employee headcount. So employee at least 15 full-time staff must be recruited under RHQ within 1 year's time. And out of the 15 headcount, 3 must be senior executives who are like a vice president and executive level of the seniority. And they should also ensure that the entity follows mandatory activities within the 6 month of issuing license and optional activities within 1 year. So in the following slide, I'll be happy to give you detailed understanding what kind of activities falls under mandatory and what are the optionals. There's one question that I often been asked. Is there exemption to the contracting government if suppose there is no RHQ? Well, the straightforward answer is yes. There is a committee, RHQ committee, which review the application, and on the basis of suppose lack of local bidder or the exclusive availability of the product or services, or maybe the value of the contract is under 1 million SAR, Saudi Riyal. So these are the some of the examples that committee allow you to participate in the government projects, irrespective if you have RHQ certification or not. These exemptions allows government agency to engage companies. Moving on to our next slide. Right. Like I promised, let's try and understand what are mandatory activities and what are optional activities. So when we say mandatory activities, again, it is something activities that will ensure RHQ is giving strategic and management support to the regional offices. So under management categories, you can think of having monetary regional strategy, and from the management function, you can think of business planning, budgeting, develop regional market plan, and so on. And when it comes to optional functions, it could be IT network operations, R&D, IP right, legal department, finance department, and so on. So when we say, if you remember in my previous slide, I mentioned that within 1 year, you have to ensure that you have, if you think from a 6 months timeline, you need to make sure that you have a well planned to have these kind of functions operating into your RHQ. Respective, if it is not falling for the requirement, there will be inspection. The RHQ officers will come and will check again with you what is your plan to bring these activities, because the whole objective of having RHQ in the region is to make sure the decision makers and the growth of the country is connected with such companies, as multinational companies are associated with RHQ. Moving on to second slide. Right, of course. And I think with RHQ, there are certain incentives, and I think so I would like to elaborate a bit more and talk about what are the incentives and what are the benefits for entity itself if they are looking to have a setup of RHQ. Well, number one is executives holding senior positions under RHQ are directly eligible for premium residency visa if they meet the minimum salary requirement. I think this is one of the interests that the senior executives under RHQ we have often gets this kind of inquiry. Thereafter, the second benefit, which I'm sure the foreign investors will appreciate, is certain number of visas are allocated directly from the day one, depending on the authorities. Thus, RHU can sponsor international talent more easily without worrying about Saudiization ratio. So it does not, because Saudiization does not apply to RHQ. So for example, a profession such as HR, which are purely reserved for Saudi national when it out of RHQ, but in RHQ you can appoint under this profession. And third point I think I can think of is exempt from the professional accreditations. Example, if there are engineers and medical certification, even if the foreign nationals are does not have the relevant education certificate to support their title, even then there's a possibility that they will get the visa, work visa in the region. One of the benefits that also is highly inquired and talked about is dependents of RHQ employees are also permitted to work and apply for job. They do not need any entity or sponsor to sponsor their work or residence permit. That's something very much interesting. It is a newly launched regulation, and RHQ employee benefits from getting work visa for professionals normally reserved for Saudi national, which I covered in my previous topic. In addition to that, government has launched a special committee which is called as MIZA, MIZA. They are there to support the companies to navigate the market, support investors to find a legal help from Minister of Justice, ensuring access to reliable and official authorization professions. So within RHQ, which is governed by MISA, Ministry of Foreign Investment, they have a special committee, MISA, that supports foreign investment in terms of all the regulations and understanding and helping them. So we covered just now the bare minimum requirement of RHQ. And then we talked about what is the benefit, and all the more important, in first place, why does entity need RHQ? Moving on to our next slide, where we will cover more topics. Right. I think workforce description. I think it was as the in the presentation we decided in the beginning that we will cover at a very high level what is RHQ, and of course we being a visa and immigration service provider, I thought that this topic will also be of a huge interest. The workforce compliance in Saudi Arabia is revolving around Neticat program, so which mandates the employees of Saudi nationals. The local entities are categorized based on their percentage of Saudi national working in these sectors, and companies are placed in different color code. My colleague Lamia will take you through in a short while, like what are those color codes and how it is all functioning. Um, uh, from a foreign investment entry perspective, the workforce is majorly divided between Saudi national, GCC nationals, and foreign nationals due to their business reforms and demand locally. At the same time, it is critical to bring talent and skills from their home country to Saudi Arabia. So it is very critical for foreign investors to make sure there's a right amount of skilled talent in the region to support. So for that, obviously, for foreign nationals, having a right type of visa is critical. At the same time, meeting Neticat program is also critical. So, this strategic planning and collaboration between the recruitment, HR, and employee mobility team is required right from the beginning. So, this is what I have noticed in my day to day interaction, that by the time they are working on visa and immigration, it is almost too late, or some significant information has not been taken into consideration at the right in the beginning. So, to balance the workforce and talent management between these three nationality is very critical. Regarding regarding visas, foreign nationals require visa to enter Saudi Arabia, and with options like e-visas for eligible countries and GCC residents, there are visa on arrival for citizens and residents of US, UK, and Schengen visa. In fact, there is a special visa for UK national called as a visa waiver, which is issued in say 2 hours maximum if the right information is there, and it's a special a law between UK and Saudi Arabia. Any other nationality will need to get visa from the consulate and embassies, and the type of visa depends on nationality and its purpose. And with the common categories that all the corporate uses is business visas, work visas, short-term visas, and dependent for their families. These are the like most common category of visa. One more thing I would like to bring, which is slightly unique, is having an exit re-entry visa, which allows a non-Saudi nationals to travel outside of country and return within a specific period of time. So here we cover like how strategically you can make sure you identify your talent that you're looking to onboard under your Saudi entity, but it needs to be planned in the beginning so that we do not have to face encounter problems like Saudiization, fine, compliance blockages, and so on. Um, I'm going to go on the next slide. Over to you, Lamia.
You're on mute, Anita.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding. And thanks, Lamia. Just like to add what Lamia just mentioned, the importance of Saudiization. Well, in one sentence, the magic is between balancing the workforce of Saudi nationals and foreign nationals to run the business smoothly at its best. So that's but how to achieve is the strategy that is required. 3 points: workforce planning. Make sure you forecast your hiring at least 6 months in advance. Categorize it between nationality, gender, job title, and of course, their job title and description should match with their degree that they have, and country of residence. Um, so, if you categorize this part, and one thumb rule you can remember: 1:3. After every three foreign national, you need to make sure that you have one Saudi national in the pipeline to onboard. So if you follow this simple rule, I'm sure that there is a high chances you will not miss the deadline in Saudiization. And of course, analyzing the workforce gap, and it should be the part of the HR policy overall to make sure the talent and Saudi nationals and everything is in pipeline, so that the visa, immigration, and the local compliance is at its best. Developing local talent should be the in-house and should be part of the HR regulations. And Batal has a very insightful information following this slide how to maintain it. Some certain government program which are just not known to many companies, but if it is used wisely, it is such a relief to know that there's so much of support, financial support, that is offered by the Saudi government as well. And of course, regularly review the Netiquette program's rules, classification. It keeps evolving. I think the evolvement of the regulation and the governance is so fast, quick, and in implementation. For example, one of the rule that I recently got to know is that government is creating the unified commercial registration license. So earlier you had to have many CRs, different cities, but now they are working. Maybe it's already launched. So any new licenses that they are getting, you need to have only one CR, irrespective you have branches in many cities as well. But that's the topic again. We would like to deep dive in some other webinar. So I'm going to hand it over to Batal, and he is going to give you some insight on the digitals and government programs.
Thank you, Anita. And these are some of the government platforms that we use often. And it's not limited to it, but these are worth mentioning. You have Muqim. Muqim is a government platform that gives you the chance to renew, issue, and transfer iqamas, visas, and so on. Anything with passport control or so on is done through Muqim. You have Mudad, which is another government platform that keeps the right of employers when they transfer their salaries. It's done through Mudad, which also reserves the rights of employees that they will receive their salaries on time and registered. How much did they receive? If it's a bit less, then you have to justify it and so on. Qiwa is a government platform for contracts. There is no paper contracts. It's all done through this platform. And the last one is GOSI, General Authority of Social Insurance, which is the platform where you register the social insurance for locals, and it takes approximately 11% of their salaries. But for expats, it only takes the risk deduction of 2%. It's not limited to this, but this is the most often one used by companies.
Right. And isn't like Kiva and Mukim the most, I mean, other platform used for processing visa and immigration, and obviously Mukim is also connected with Kiva. So, I
It's all
think,
connected.
yeah, just to give an audience, I think when we apply for visas and immigrations, it starts with obviously Mukim to get the block visa. Then it goes to Kiva when it's a time to issue employment contract, which is again connected with the residence permit. And during the process, we'll need to upload the salary information. For that, Mudad and GoSee will portal access will also be required. Maybe not at the time of visa and immigration, but to make sure that the compliance is consistent. Because one of the key role is if your entity fails to notify government that your salary process is in time, which is the following month before 10th of following month, and it is not shown on Mudad, it leads to blockage of your portals, which will again
Yes,
freeze applying for any sort of visa. So there's a lot of inconsistency of not meeting the compliance regularly and in time. So yeah, thanks, Batal, for sharing that. I'm sure you have a second slide to talk about
I do.
this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. This is worth mentioning. HRDF is a government platform that subsidizes salaries. If you're
Correct.
gonna hire Saudis, they will cover, the government will cover up to 50% and unlimited, up to 3,000 riyals. So if you pay anyone 6,000 riyals as a salary, the government will, pay half of it, which is 3,000. Taqat is the platform where job seekers meet with companies searching for their employees. They will make sure that they are trained in their field and make sure that you get the correct information from them. Tamhir is like an internship program. It's a program for 3 to 6 months, and you give an incentive to this person or a reward for their work during this period. Afterwards, if you think they're good enough for your company, then you hire them with a full contract. Marin is a recently introduced platform which is yeah, it translates to flexible. Means
Yes.
that people who are working remotely, like for instance, the people who are in NEOM, they don't have to be on the project physically. They can work from home or from other places. So they have to be registered within this platform, which is called Merit.
Yeah, right. I think I have a personal experience using Tamhir program, and where we were hiring fresh graduates from a legal spectrum to make sure that we are, it is something coming from my past experience to make sure that a Saudiization met. And the beauty of that program was basically you get a chance to assess not on the cost of the government. So you technically make sure that you have the opportunity to review candidate, get the experience, and if you really like the talent, onboard them on a full-time employment. If not, give the reason of not continuing with it, and it's an easy departure, and that's something I found it
Sure.
very convenient. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Well, these are the few of the programs, of course. I think moving on to next slide, I just want to make sure if there's nothing pending. Yeah, so
Okay.
we are at a Q&A session.
Thank you so much for sharing all these great insights. It's so interesting to see how Saudi is um, transforming itself and really uh, making a huge effort to place itself as like a regional business and like just a global leader in terms of businesses. And I recently read it somewhere as well that most of the biggest companies in the world, they already have their RHQ set up in Saudi Arabia. Uh, very very exciting stuff. I do have a few questions, and I the first question that I have uh, is it possible to open a consulting business in NEOM without considering the RHQ program?
Right. Yep, it is possible to have a consulting. And now, again, I think we definitely need to deep dive into this program. When we say consulting, is the consultation in a form of a tax consultant or in a form of engineering consultation? So I think that will definitely be understanding. And the key factor is not associated with the practice, it is with about participating with the government contracts. So if suppose the consulting company aiming to bid for such high level government projects, and that's their objective of having RHQ, then yeah, we have to look into it. Or I think I've also learned that some companies want to set up an RHQ to make sure the Saudiization, they can have a strategy around to have it. So we just need to understand the objective behind of setting up RHQ so that we can navigate to the right pathway.
Yes, yes. I think this initiative that this program offers in terms of having a way around Saudiization is definitely very appealing for companies. Another question I have is, to what degree would Saudiization requirements be applicable?
Right.
Whoever would like to have a take on this question, feel free
I think
to
I would let
hop on.
Batal answer it, and I'll add something after his comment.
Sure thing. Sure. Depending on the industry of which company, the industry you work in determines the percentage. I'll give you an example. If you work in logistics, it might require you to hire 35% of the manpower or the workforce to be Saudis. It might go up, it might go down, depending on the government itself and their updates. There are different HR companies. HR should be 100%. Security companies should be 100%. Other companies might go even lower to 10%, 5%, or 20%. So we need to know your company's industry so we can give you the correct percentage.
Yeah, and the company needs to also be mindful that along with Saudiization, that is called as local ratio as well. So even if the entity like from the Neticat status and they are in a high green zone, but but I have noticed that all the professions such as sales executive are given for a foreign national. So at some point there will be a notification or received from Kiva platform or one of the government body to notify that, hey, listen, you need to fix your Saudiization or localization. So that's something which is again need to be considered. And Kiva platform, I think, which Batal was mentioning, is the key platform. So there is a link that will take you to the calculation. So if any recruitment body are looking to hiring, that is something, an easy guideline.
Thank you so much, Anita. Another quick one: are all GCC nationals, would they all fall in Saudiization? Let's say someone is working from Oman, and would they fall in Saudiization category, or they will just be counted as a foreign national, or Bahrain or anywhere else in the GCC region?
GCC nationals are considered Saudi national, not the resident.
Okay, got it. I do have another question. It's, do the government consider type of roles for Saudiization, or is it strictly headcount considered?
Sorry, I don't think so. I got your question. There was a little lag
I
in the
think
internet.
I'll repeat myself.
Yeah.
Do the government consider type of roles for Saudiization, or is it strictly related to headcount?
I'm sorry, Batal, would you like to take the question?
Yes,
I didn't
yes.
get the question.
No, let's say, okay. There are
Yeah.
type of roles that are strictly for Saudis. Okay. And there are certain percentages depending on the industry of the company, which determines which is the percentage of Saudiization. As I mentioned, if it's a security company, it's 100% Saudis. If it's a logistics company, 70%, let's say, or 65% can be expats. But I'll just tell you this, expats, if you bring expats, there is another percentage to be calculated based on the nationality of the people you bring. You cannot bring all 70% from the same nationality. So there is another calculation. We can deep dive on this on a later session, or you can contact us or Envoy Global.
Yeah.
Yes, I think Saudiization really continues to be a topic that worries companies a lot. And luckily, we help companies in planning their Saudiization goals. When they're moving to Saudi Arabia, we help them plan their future Saudiization goals. We help them in hiring of Saudi nationals. So feel free to reach us out always. And another question, and I'm just being nerdy here. Some, let's say, in Saudiization, some roles are higher than other roles. Let's say there's a sales assistant, and then there's a sales director. If if a company is hiring a sales director as a Saudi national, would they have more like power or percentage in the Saudiization formula, or is it same as the assistant? Do they have different roles, have different like percentages?
No, it has nothing to do with
No.
the percentage.
Okay.
Sorry, Lamia. Go ahead.
That's helpful. Thank you. These are the questions that I had. Um, I would now like to conclude this webinar. Thank you so much for the speakers for taking your time and sharing such insightful information. And thank you all for joining us today. We will be sending an email with the recording of this webinar to everyone for future insights and resources. And if you have any questions related to the insights that we shared, we are always happy to support you and advise you on your next steps. Thank you so much for joining us today again. I wish you a great day ahead of you.
Thank you. Good day.